Alright guys, well, we have a little bit of a different video today. So it is 2:36 in the afternoon on Saturday, February 7th. Sitting in my truck. We have wind chills today. Right now it says the real feel is minus 24. And I'm sitting in my truck. I was planning on tapping trees today. It's just, the wind's just too much. Like, not going to happen. So, I'm wearing extra layers, and my legs, it was just cutting right through my legs. You could feel the wind when I was outside. Excuse me. When I was outside for a little bit this morning, I thought I really had the plan to get up and be out in the woods tapping trees by 9 o'clock this morning. But, the wind just cut through. Could feel it on my legs big time. And, there's a little bit of danger there with, the widowmakers that could fall out and hit you or whatever. So I decided, well, I'm not going to do that. So I came over this morning to water the cows and feed them round bales. And wasn't any water. So we have a problem where the water line is actually froze between the two barns underground somewhere, I guess. I'm not sure. But that seemed to be what we think is the problem. So couldn't get any water, but started the tractor, let it warm up, went to get in the tractor to go feed bales. It gives me a stop alarm. And it was flashing deaf with an exclamation point, just like it was flashing back in August when we made the video Tractor Down. So I got home, I tried to trick it. I'll shut it off, turn it back on a couple times, see if that works. It won't do anything. It was, when I started up, it gave me the amber flashing exclamation point, and I think it was saying hydraulic fluid's cold. You have to let it warm up. Wants the transmission to be a certain temperature before you start moving. So I just kind of ignored that. And then when I went water cows and came back, the stop sign was on, and it gave the deaf was flashing with the exclamation point, and there's a code 19086. So it's like 10:30 or so. I went home and I'm like, all right, I guess I better call the dealer and get them to come Monday. And I call over, and I normally talk to the owner. So we deal with Warner Tractor in East Troy, Pennsylvania. And I asked for Scott. He's the owner. He wasn't there. And I'm not sure if it's his wife or not who answered the phone. But I said, hey, we got the same alarm as before. Tractor's like disabled. It would only do, I think, 900 RPMs. So whoever it was, looked it all up, and they're like, oh yeah, we see where, we worked on it. It was October when they worked on it. So she said, well, let me see if I can find Ben. So Ben is a service tech, but he is actually Ben Warner, who is the owner's son. He's probably part owner. And took a little bit. Ben gets on the phone, and he runs through what we did before. And he goes over, he's like, well, the code could be a number of things. It has related to the deaf. It's saying it could be the deaf. He's rattling off all the stuff like deaf heater, this, that, and that. He's like, I don't know, but my number one guess would be it's a fuse or a relay. There's a box up underneath the cab by the battery. One of the relays in there got wet, whatever, and went bad, and that could very well be it. Change the relay out, and bada boom, it'll work. He's like, you could test it, I could come out, whatever. I was like, well, I don't really, me testing is probably not going to do any good. I don't have the same equipment. So he's like, well, I'll tell you what, it's kind of slow. I'll be out. So this is at 10:30. and he hasn't been here yet, but he just texted me probably 20 minutes ago, and he said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm running late, but I'm on my way. I'm still coming. What do you say to that? Service, honest. I mean, I think they closed at noon or 12:30, and he's willing to come out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's saying it's negative 24 wind chill. He said, I don't know what I can do, but I think I can change the relay and get it to work. He said, I probably can use my computer, and I might be able to get it to, might be able to fix it for good, fix the relay, fuse, whatever, fix it for good, or at least get my computer to say, hey, bypass it, let it run and get through. Because I have bales to feed. That's what I want to do, is feed bales. And now I've waited for him. I could have fed the bales by now with my other tractor without the cab, but he was going to be, he was supposed to be here a lot sooner. But I do appreciate the fact that, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean, it's going to be dark in 2.5 hours. So I do appreciate the fact that he's still coming. So I don't know if Ben's going to want to be on camera or not. We'll try, whatever. I think it's awesome that he comes out. Warner Tractor, it's family owned and operated dealership in East Troy, Pennsylvania. We've bought, this is the fourth tractor from them. And then, of course, we have the 966 and the 986, which we get parts for those tractors from them as well. They have parts inventory. Like, there's only been a few times when they haven't had a part that we needed in stock. For the 966 and the 986, they almost always have the parts in stock for those. So I think they've been in business. It's been family operated since like 1951 or something like that. So pretty cool to be, they're probably on their, I don't know, what's that, probably 4th or 5th generation. So it's pretty cool that they're still in business. They're not joined with any other dealerships. They're solely their own, and they're still going. They sell CASE International tractors and equipment, CASE construction equipment, Takaluchi construction equipment, which I didn't know till a little while ago. I thought they sold a different brand. They do sell Takaluchi skid steers and mini excavators. And then they sell like Great Plains and a few of the other brands as well, as far as machinery goes. So I think they have like 3 or 4 techs. I think maybe 3 at the most. Pretty good parts guy. They had a parts guy that just retired January. He had been there like 50 years. He was, hopefully other guys have learned from him and they're as good as he is, because he was a rock star of a parts guy. But family operated, family owned, good dealership, smaller, but hey, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care how big the dealership is. Service on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, I will take that over anything. I mean, that is just awesome. Hopefully he's able to come, and at least get it going. And if he doesn't have the part or whatever to fix it, he'll be able to hook the computer up and it will tell him more what it does. I mean, they worked on it in August. It was down. They had about a month. And I said, look, Ben, like, I want the tractor fixed, but I do not want you to come pick up the tractor and take it to your shop and get another like $1,500 bill. I can't do that. And he's like, I know, I understand, we'll be there. And it turns out, going through his records and my records, the tractor has 28 hours since they had it to work on it. So that's just not, I mean, that, to me, that's not acceptable, and it's not their problem, right? It's not the dealership. It is CASE International's problem. And, if I get slapped with another big bill, I will be calling CASE International corporate myself, and I will be dealing with them, because 28 hours, and for a sensor or whatever that's going to, $5 sensor going to shut down the tractor, but it takes all kinds of labor to diagnose and figure out what the problem is. That's not acceptable. And that's what I would tell you. More people out there in this world, you need to call corporate. You got a problem. The dealer can only do so much. They only have so much that they're able to do without getting clearance. And sometimes it takes somebody to call corporate to get on it. So then the dealership then will know, hey, go ahead and figure it out, and we've got your back. Because the dealer, they don't want to do a bunch of work that they're not going to get paid for, right? And they really don't want to do a bunch of work that's going to cost a customer a bunch of money either. Believe it or not, that they're not about most dealers, especially this one, they're not about making more money just because that's how much it costs. And we've gone to battle. They've gone to battle with us before with CASE International and got things paid under warranty. You know, I know a guy on YouTube had trouble with his Bobcat. It's like, dude, that's not acceptable. Then once a dealer can't fix it or isn't able to fix it in a timely manner and fix it once and fix it right, then maybe their tech is not up to date or whatever. Could be, right? Maybe they're not putting in the right stuff for the warranty. You know, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. Calling corporate can jump through the hoops a lot quicker. I had a trouble with my Bobcat. I just got it, September. Getting max control going. The dealership, I don't know if it was a salesman or the dealership themselves, one of them was having a hard time getting max control linked to the machine and linked to me. And Bobcat, I don't remember. Somehow, I guess I called Bobcat, but then the lady from Bobcat actually called back 2 more times. She called the dealer and told them what they needed to do, and then she actually called me back twice while it was in process. Once while it was in process, and once to verify that it was done. And I also called Bobcat about the warranty because I never received anything in the mail because I extended the warranty on it when I bought it. And I expected to receive something in the mail, like a certificate saying it was under warranty. Didn't receive that either, and I called to verify. And the guy is like, oh yeah, it's good. It's under warranty till June 2028 or 2,000 hours. And he said, I have an invoice number. I said, well, isn't there some sort of certificate or whatever? He's like, you should have got that. He said, if you didn't, I don't know how you go back and get it. But he gave me the invoice number of where the warranty was purchased. He says it's a little bit different between customers purchasing and warranting online and going through the dealer and getting it. It's a little bit different. Same thing, but different connection points or whatever. I don't know. And the other thing I have with my Bobcat is the Machine IQ was working, but now it's not. And I messaged, and I found out I was messaging my salesman, and I found out the salesman is no longer there. So then the general sales person at the dealership was looking into it. He hasn't gotten back to me in about a week, so I'm going to be reaching out to him on Monday and be like, hey, how come this max control, how come my Machine IQ is not working? If you don't know anything about that, that's pretty cool. Machine IQ can locate the machine, tell you how much fuel is in it, tell you the hours of the machine, tell you when it's due for its next servicing. Actually, it has the dealership linked in there. For servicing, it has the part number linked in there for the service kits that you need for however many hours are on the machine. Pretty cool, but right now mine hasn't given me any information since December 14th, I think. And I think what it is like it was a 3-month trial that was turned on or whatever, but it was supposed to be that I had Machine IQ health and security plan, and that part's not turned on. It was the basic plan was turned on temporarily. It must have been turned on for like 3 months or something. That's now off as well. So I have to reach out back to him. And if I'm not happy if he doesn't get back to me with an answer, then I'll call Bobcat and be like, look, I don't know what happened. The salesman not there, but I was supposed to get Machine IQ. And I would be willing to bet that they will take care of it. So anyway, we're just sitting here waiting for Ben. Probably got another 20 minutes or so, and we'll see if Ben's going to want to be on camera. All right, guys. So Ben has been here. He is test driving the tractor. I decided not to film him, but you can see the tractor going down the road, maybe. I don't know if you can see it or not, but so it appears to be frozen DEF. I kid you not. I had no idea that was even a possibility. The DEF in the tank, it said 70%. It looked like it was all 70% was darn near frozen inside the tank. So then the DEF's frozen. So then it wasn't pumping the DEF. So there's actually a pump, just like a fuel pump for the DEF, and it wasn't pumping the DEF. And it appears that that is the reason for the alarm, which shut the tractor down. I had no idea that frozen DEF was even a thing. I mean, that's just how cold it is. I only run the tractor right now. We feed bales, twice a week probably. So it doesn't really get run a whole lot. And with it being so cold, we had 5 or 6 days last week that were below zero, and then we're in a cold snap right now where it's going to be, it was as much as 35 below zero between last night, I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and tomorrow morning, Sunday, the 8th. So I had no idea that was even a thing. So hopefully, he said if you, I didn't have the tractor plugged in. I haven't even had to plug it in this year. It's always been I never thought about that. It's always been a real good starting tractor. I used to plug it in to a timer, and I'd have the timer come on at 6 o'clock in the morning and turn off at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd have it turn on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and turn off at 6 o'clock at night. Those are the times I normally would go feed bales. I either feed bales in the morning on the weekends or after school. So this year I never even had it plugged in once. And he said if you plug it in, it will help. It does heat the DEF a little bit, but most of it's just because it's so cold and the tractor doesn't get run. So I mean, if a DEF is cold and it takes me I don't know, maybe the most I've ever fed bales would be maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's not a whole lot of run time. 2 to 3 hours a week is not a whole lot of run time. So obviously that probably doesn't help. So it's cold. I give Ben a huge amount of credit for coming out and working on this thing. It is now 5:24 in the afternoon. He's been here about 2 hours, maybe a little bit more than 2 hours, and has gone through, took off covers, took off guards, tested wires, I'm not sure how he figured out that the heater, there's a heater that heat the DEF. He figured out the heater was not working, and somehow he got it to work. I'm not sure how he got it to work, whether it finally cleared the code and it decided it wanted to work or what. I'll have to ask him about that, but he hasn't done anything as far as replacing anything or anything like that. He did do a bunch of checking of fuses and plugs and things like that, and then he's like, oh, the heater's working now. So I don't know if it was just because he unplugged it and plugged it back in, then it reset it or what, but he did have his laptop hooked up to it. I don't think he did anything on the laptop. So hopefully he's going to make it back here with the tractor. Hopefully it's not going to shut off on him wherever he went. He went down the road. So we'll show you the tractor and maybe get a little bit more of an update after he gets back. So pretty cool to have this kind of service. I'm sure it's messing up his Saturday night plans, but he's willing to come out and do it. That's pretty awesome. Good for me, right? good for him, and it's good for their business too. I mean, they have a good business. So we'll be back, hopefully, with a tractor update. All right, guys, so we're back at the tractor. It is 10 minutes after 10, same day, February 7th. So what happened was the tractor is sitting here. I'll show you the tractor sitting there running. I'm in my truck staying warm. I just started the tractor up. So Ben from Warner Tractor was here and worked on the tractor for about 4 hours. And what he determined was that the def inside the tank, which I had no idea that you could do it, but the def inside the tank was frozen. So what's happening with the tractor is it's throwing it into stop and then into basically limp mode, limits the throttle to actually a little under 1,000 RPMs, I think. And he's afraid that the def, there's a pump, and he's afraid that the def will freeze inside the pump. So when you shut the tractor off, it makes like a doot 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 doot, like a dit 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 sound. That is the def being what was the word he used? Extracted or whatever from the pump back into the tank, and he's not hearing that. He wasn't hearing it do that. So he's afraid that the def is going to stay in the pump and freeze the pump and then break the pump. So def is, 60% water. So when we're looking at, today was minus 35 with the wind chill. We had a previous cold snap. So 60% water, that would mean that, if it worked out right, 60% of the tank was frozen. And then there's a couple lines. So there's a line that goes from the tank to the pump, and then the pump to the injectors or whatever. Then there's like a return line, and he doesn't think that it returned it back to the tank from the pump. So he's actually afraid that it's going to break the pump. So here's a guy. He's a service guy for the dealership, which his family owns. His mom and dad own. I'm sure he's a partner too. And he's just like, hey, I know it's like, and he basically said, hey, I'm really worried about whether or not it's going to be okay or not to let it go. It's going to be so cold. He's like, I would rather come get the tractor and put it in our shop at the dealership in a heated shop overnight and try to make sure that the def is good to go rather than leave it here and have it freeze. I mean, I don't have any place heated to put it. And so, that to me, that's like unheard of service, right? That's really rock solid service. Again, I called at 10:30 this morning. He's like, I'll be over in a couple hours. He was later than he intended, but showed up at 3 o'clock. They closed at noon. So all the work that he's done has been after hours on a Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday. Obviously, they're not open. I'll just be happy to get the tractor, the way it is now. He's like, well, you never know. You could start it up and it might run. It might be fine. You could do your whole thing and do an hour or two feeding bales, and it could be fine. And it might happen the next time, or it might not happen again. He's like, or you could start it up tomorrow and it be worse than it was today. Or tomorrow you could come over and find out that the def tank, the pump or whatever broke, and start it up, and def's going to go flying everywhere. So, I'm just like, really happy with the way that it's been handled. And all I said to him when I called him, like, hey man, look, if you think you can come fix it, you think it's fuses or relays or whatever, then you want to come fix it, please come fix it. But I don't want to, like last time they came and it was his dad that I talked to, and they came and got it, and that's fine, but it was like, I think it ended up being, it was like $1,700. Well, I don't have $1,700 every time the tractor doesn't want to run right. And the stuff that he did to it today, like I might be able to do, but I wouldn't be able to do it in the time that he did it. And he has, like, I mean, he hooked up all kinds of he knew where to go to all the electrical stuff, but I don't have the computer. So that was a big thing. The computer was throwing the codes, and then it was telling him where to check. So then he was checking for power and things like that. That's the kind of stuff that you can't do. And I know that it's probably gonna, end up going bad for CASE International and other dealers, other brands. I don't know if you guys heard, but John Deere just got sued. They lost I think it was $4.8 billion. They're basically accused of creating a service monopoly, where because they have the software and the rights to their software, nobody else can use their software. You can't get John Deere service by anybody other than the dealer. And then they created a bottleneck because they have the software and you have to use their software. And then they don't have, some places they don't have enough techs, and they haven't been able, they've had I think they've had part supplies issues, and the whole thing came about, I just watched the video on YouTube. I think it was a farmer in Texas, maybe somewhere. Basically, he lost his corn crop because his combine was out of commission, and nobody could fix it but the John Deere dealership, and there was a bottleneck of service or whatever, and he basically lost an entire season of corn. And he's like, I'm not gonna take this sitting down, which I think is good. Same thing, CASE International. I'm sitting in my Ford. Same thing. All the manufacturers need to be like, hey, you can't, like, if you're not gonna help your dealers and educate your dealers and help your dealers have service techs and all the stuff that they need and the parts that they need, then you can't control the software. It's one thing to control the software, but if you can't provide the parts to the dealership to fix the tractor, the combine, or whatever it is, then that's just wrong. I mean, the guy, his combine was, I think it was 6 weeks or more waiting for a part, and that's just wrong. And the other thing would be, if you don't have loaners, that's even, you're creating even more of a problem. Now I could have probably said to Ben, I could have said, hey, why don't you bring me a loaner tractor? And he probably would. He's that kind of a guy. He probably would. I mean, he's hauling. So he was here with his service truck. He had to go back and he actually called me on his way back to the dealership. And he's like, hey, I don't feel good letting this thing go. I'm going to go get the rollback and come back and get the tractor. So if I would have said, hey, I didn't think of it till just now, but if I would have said, hey, why don't you throw a loaner tractor on there, he probably would. But, I'm happy with just, like, if this thing gets fixed and it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg, I don't care. It's not his fault. It's it's not their fault. I feel bad for him because it's not their fault. It's, in this case, I don't know if it's really CASE International's fault or not, but something, obviously, there's a heater involved in the DEF. That must not have been working, or he said, or possibly be just going out and feeding bales for an hour or two at a time and not getting enough run time to give that DEF heater enough time to actually get functioning how it's supposed to. I don't know. Like I said, I never knew DEF could freeze till he told me. I was shocked. I was like, what? And he opened up the tank and showed me, and I was like, it was all ice. Like, you couldn't even, there wasn't anything in there like water, like jiggling. So, is it a CASE International problem? I don't know. Is it my problem? I don't know. Obviously one way to rectify the problem would be to have a heated shop. How many farmers have heated shops, right? He said if you plug it in, the engine block heater will keep the engine block warm, and it would help the DEF maybe, because but it doesn't actually heat the DEF. But it's like, the engine block's pretty good size, so it's right in front of it. He said, but normally that wouldn't be an issue. This tractor is a good starting tractor. I don't really have much. I've never had any. I don't. Only ever had it not start once, and I think I changed the fuel filters and it started. So we just had some bad. Probably could have. I don't remember. It was like the first winter I had it. I probably could have drained the fuel filters, and I think we just had we had some fuel that wasn't the best, and I changed the fuel filters and primed them. It's got a pump to prime them, and it fired right up. And that's the only time I've ever had it not start, other than when it's been locked out or shut down. So it looks like Ben's coming right now, so we'll see if we can get this thing loaded and out of here. Well, guys, there goes the tractor. Ben was just here, loaded up the 110C. He's going to take it back to the shop, put it in the shop tonight, and have it. So what he's going to do is he's going to take it back and put it in the shop, and can't stop coughing. He said he's going to take it back and put it in the shop tonight, and then have it sit out a night, so that way they can make sure that they got the whole problem solved with the def. Not sure, where it's freezing or whatever. So that makes sense. He just said he's just really worried about it sitting out for tonight and freezing. He said, well, we got the def, might have got the def moving, and it might have got where it was in the pump, but it wasn't coming out of the pump, and it's not made to do that. It's not made to have def stay in the pump, and if it stayed in the pump and froze, then that would cause more trouble. So he just wants to make it right. So he wants to put it in the shop for one night, then Monday they'll take it out and let it sit outside overnight, and then check it all out Tuesday probably, and see if it's gonna be ready to go back to business. So in the meantime, we'll be feeding bales tomorrow. I'm gonna have to feed bales with the 70A, and I gave him the shifter to the 70A. The shifter broke about, I think maybe it's been 2 weeks, and I just showed it to him. I'm like, I was going to call and order one, but man, I think maybe a guy like Hugh could probably figure out a way to fix it and make it better. So he said, well, see what I can do. I showed him what it was wrong. The top of it broke right off, and so we'll see what he comes up with that. I don't mind buying a new one, but it was a pretty bad design to begin with. So anyway, that's the update. We'll get this video posted and check it out. Warner Tractor, Troy, Pennsylvania. Great service by Ben today for sure. I mean, he's into it. 8 hours now? So a little bit more than 8 hours total between the time he came over, went back, came back over again. I mean, that's incredible. Really appreciate it. And by the way, it sat on the truck since 1945, so that is 71 years. Pretty awesome. So I'm real happy with that. So we're gonna call it a video. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more from Triple D Farms, Triple D Maple, and Triple D Cabins. Have a great day.